Welcome back, everybody, to another incredible episode of Dadam Gaming. Except we're not doing an episode. We're going to do a little bit of an update. So at the moment, we have been going for 100 days strong. This video you're watching here is going to be video 101 um, of, our 365-day challenge. I've uploaded multiple videos a day on some of the days. We've done a lot of stuff. We've had some videos that are doing really well. We have some that are not doing so well. Um, but I mean, I I've really enjoyed doing this. It's been a really good, kind of process to take on a challenge like this. Because there's a lot that goes into it, doing it daily, trying to do all that other stuff. Um, while working a full-time job, while still going out to play football with the kids on the weekend to help Connor train for his next season. He's gonna be playing at tight end. So it's life doesn't stop even if you want it to. Um, and this last month's been kind of hard for a lot of people in the family. A lot of things have happened, but I mean that's part of life. You just keep getting hit, and every time you get hit, you you get back up, keep walking. Life's about stumbling forward sometimes, learning from your successes, learning from your failures. So I'm still going. Um, we got a lot of things on the horizon. Nordic Ashes is been fun, but I'm kind of getting towards the end of that, so I think I'm going to find a new game to play. I haven't really decided what I want to go hard into. The surprising thing has been Diablo 4. The PTR was cool. They did a lot of things to change it. They're doing a lot of things to update it, try and bring people back into the game, and that's awesome. It's also one of my highest performing videos too. I did my first one, um, which ironically was, you know, supposed to be a joke, and a lot of people, I guess, took it really seriously. But that's what's so funny about it is, even though the game did poorly to start, it it's got a nice little following behind it. It's still Diablo. It's still Blizzard. They still have a rabid fan base. Um, and like it's to me, it's super funny that I got more interaction on the Diablo video than anything else where I was just joking around because I don't want to be that streamer who's just always focusing on negative things. Um, because honestly, they did a lot to change. It's some people might think it's going to be too simple or it's not enough or it's kind of a cop out because they're adding in the pit, which is very reminiscent. Well, I mean, the pit is greater rifts, but greater rifts were one of the funner things to do in Diablo 3. And that game had a rocky start as well. I wish that wasn't kind of the state of gaming where games would come out that aren't finished or completed. Because it's always annoying to invest money, and as I got older and as I get more responsibility, spending $60 on a game, it's a big commitment. And so when you do that, or at least when I do that, and then the game just ends up being what feels like a really big misstep, um, and you don't get to fully experience it, I am fully behind anyone who never wants to play that game again because they feel like they got ripped off in the beginning. Because a part of me does feel that, um, but I also feel like maybe this is something that needs to change in the gaming community. Um, we are huge on just jumping the gun to just attack and attack and attack, even without justifiable methods or justifiable means at the beginning. Um, our snap just instantly defensive mechanisms, and maybe that's due to some of the gaming community is a little bit introverted. So when they do find something they're passionate about, they also like attack like they're passionate about it. but we need to find a way to have a level of forgiveness. I'm not saying we should forget, but I think we definitely, when somebody comes out and tries to change, or when a game company tries to make up for their mistake, or change a game, or do something to, make the game better. Um, I feel like there's just comes this really big divergent where there's people that sit on one side of the fence and they go, "I'm always going to be upset," or "I'm never going to give this game another chance." And then there's the other side that goes, "Well, I don't care. I'm still going to play the game. It doesn't matter." Um, and I always thought that was interesting, and that goes all the way back to like the console wars, which to me were always so stupid. Um, I kind of had this. I had the same mentality when it comes to sports. I love sports. I love athletes. I love stories. I definitely love certain teams more than other, but like I'm not that person where I grew up in LA. I grew up in California. Like I'm a Lakers fan. I'm a Kobe fan. Um, I cried when Kobe died. Like I was genuinely hurt. I met him a couple times in my life, and I just, you know, having him die with his daughter like that, it was just, it was horrifying. Um, but like during the Kobe era, I didn't hate other teams, or like I was always like, oh, the Lakers have to win. And then like LeBron when he went to the Heat, even though was handled really like in a shitty way, I was a LeBron fan, so I was happy he was going to the Heat and getting away from the Cleveland. That was just felt like it was ruining his career because they would never give her. Dan Gilbert would never get people to play on his team. Um, they let. I think I probably hate coaches more than I hate players. Um, um, but yeah, no, like I think the video game industry is kind of like in that mode, in that mentality where for a long time it was like, well, I'm an Xbox guy, I'm a PlayStation guy. I only owned one system at a time because economically I couldn't afford to own more. So I would always own either the PlayStation or the Xbox, and most of the time the Nintendo system that came out, right? Because to me it was never in that competition between the three. It was always just like a secondary system I'd have because you'd want to play those first party Nintendo games. They hit different. They're Nintendo games. You're always loving them. But like Xbox to PlayStation, like that argument was always like moot to me. I always thought it was stupid. I felt like the industry played it up more to feed into that fandom as like a way to like rapidly try and produce vibrability. And I think that's kind of the same thing with some things right now. Obviously some games kind of deserve that negative attention, but at some point like you just got to move on from it. And then if a company, you know one of the biggest turnarounds in my opinion in video game history, it's got to be No Man's Sky. This dude went on national television for ever. Sean was just spitting bullshit. His ass was just wide open and he was just flinging it at people and just saying the most flagrant lies, in video game history. Almost as bad as the quadruple A for Skull and Bones statement. Um, but if you look at No Man's Sky where it launched, missing pretty much 99% of anything he said was in that game, to where No Man's Sky is right now, um, and I might be wrong, but I think he pretty much released all of it for free. The updates, I'm sure there's some sort of DLC that's been attached to it now. I mean, I haven't really looked at it in a really long time, but I mean, like, the turnaround of that is massive. Final Fantasy 14 might be another one to kind of throw out there because the original release of Final Fantasy 14 was abhorrent. It was so bad. And then it turned into what is now considered one of the greatest MMOs ever made. I mean, the content grew and grew, the fans grew and grew. Um, I think it put a bigger dent into the WoW player base than any other MMO that's ever come out. I would be interested to see if there's a chart of that kind of like can look at that to see if it happened. But I mean, like, that's because they fixed their game and they were given a chance to. Um, the biggest part to that was if you owned the original game, you got the Realm Reborn for free to come back and play it. I don't know if Diablo's or Blizzard's in that frame of mind because, in my opinion, yes, they're making major changes to Diablo 4, but I think they need to do something to make it up to people, and maybe that'll help. Because I am definitely in that frame of mind that I got majorly burned by them. I'm going to give them the one more season because this is the first one without any kind of negative input or negative influence from certain people, Bobby Kotick. Um, so they have the potential to fix the ship, to right it, to be into a better headspace, so they're not always under this fear that this dude's gonna come wipe his dick on his forehead. Like that's Bobby's World destroyed that company for a really long time. But hopefully that's gone. But I don't know what the turnaround on that's going to be. I don't know if they're instantly going to just become the company they were before, or if they ever can. I would hope they can because I love a lot of their games. They have a lot of amazing IPs that deserve, care. WoW has had a lot of changes to it recently, and they've put a lot of effort into bringing back that fan base, and it seems very positive. I've seen a lot of people say a lot of really good things about it, so that's a really good sign. I played the PTR. I really enjoyed it. I saw some really good potential. Um, but again, I'm also seeing some of the things that I don't like seeing. $1 billion in DLC, no communication that they are in any way, shape, or form kind of trying to extend an olive branch to the community. Like, hey, listen, we really screwed up. Here's at least these, season 4 for free, right? That would cost them nothing, and it would probably go a long way of creating that bridge that would bring people back into the fold. But I don't see them even attempting to do that. And that's like, to me, it's kind of like a it's kind of like a slap to the face because it almost feels at times through some of the communications that they've had where it's just like, okay, this is what you guys asked for, we're finally giving it to you, be grateful. And I just feel like that's probably not the frame of mind you want to have when you're trying to go from one of the fastest selling Blizzard games to they can't even have 1,000 congruent players logged in at one time. Like that's night and day difference. That's crazy for it to have fallen off that hard. Um, so I don't know if they will, because I think if they do, maybe someone in that company's got such a huge ego that they feel like, well, if we give them a season for free, they're gonna want everything else for free. No, I think ultimately we just want someone to admit, you know what, we screwed up. We tried to do something because we were told it was going to make us a bunch of money. I don't know. Like, I don't know what they could say, but I also feel like they've never tried to say it. So that's where I don't know exactly what I want to hear. Um, it's interesting that I found a gentleman online that used to be an old Diablo programmer, and like he created the auction house for Diablo 3, which will go down in infamy as one of the I think even he looked like he had PTSD when he started talking about it. But he came out recently and just talked about the mistakes they made as a company. And obviously, it's a different regime, it's a different team now. But listening to him speak eloquently and most importantly, with a level of sincerity and severity that he understood that he needed to speak about these things to, like, it was so refreshing, to be honest. It was super refreshing because you don't get that from the video game industry. You get assholes that come out and say this game's quadruple A title, and if you don't buy it, you're a piece of shit. Like, how dare you talk bad about our games? You have companies and all these news media outlets and stuff like that are going out and they're just ringing companies across the ground because they put an attractive female character in their game based off of a real life model that looks like the real life model, but then they're getting, like, dragged through the mud that, like, even if that's what the game was, it was just fan service and clickbait and just Why? It's in everything. It's in every form of media in every way, shape, or form. You know, there's a reason that horror movies have gratuitous nudity in them sometimes. There's a reason they have gratuitous violence, right? It's because it draws people in. And sometimes people need a break. You know, not everyone wants Super Mario. Some people want Last of Us, right? Some people don't want Last of Us. They want the game that they get to just sit there and stare at eye candy, right? Um, so it's like there's a time and a place, and there's a game, and there's a venue, and there's someone that's gonna play it. That's why it's getting made. So it's just for me, it's always funny to see the ebbs and flows of the video game industry, and I feel like we're starting to get into one where DLC is kind of being seen as the villain it really is, because people are seeing their games get stripped to nothing. They're seeing these companies whoring them out, um, really doing everything they can to make you spend $300 for a product, and it's like I couldn't do that. Like, I'm not in a position in my life where I can go, you know what? As much as I want to play Last of Us 3, if Naughty Dog decided they were going to charge $300 for it, for all the DLC and everything in it, one of my favorite games of all time, if not my favorite game, I can't afford that. I can't afford to go, oh, you know what? My kids can eat top ramen for a week so that I can go buy this video game. Like, that's so much money. And then the base game is now $70 and it comes with nothing and it has elements of it removed. Like, it's becoming heinous. It's becoming so exploitative, and we're seeing a lot of pushback, and I love that. But it's also going to potentially cause some rocky times. It's going to cause some pushback where these companies overhired, they're dropping people left and right, and we've seen it happen before. And the last time it happened, what we saw a bunch of smaller companies emerge that started making these games away from the bigger producers and the bigger publishers, and they were able to like stretch their creative freedom, and it turned into a really good resurgence. And that's the potential that can come out of this, but it comes at the cost of people having to fear for their jobs. It comes at the cost of companies cutting away talent to save a dime. It comes at them ruining their own products to try and stretch a dime, and us voting with our wallets to not buy that crap. And I think it's happening, and I'm all for it. And I hate that by us doing that, it's potentially costing people their jobs. But somebody at some point has to have a level of integrity in this process to stand up for everybody. It can't just be Larion, right? It can't just be a couple directors here and there saying, you know what, I want to make this game. You're not loading it up with DLC. It needs to be more people. Hopefully we can get there. Hopefully it happens, but who knows? Um, but I'm excited nonetheless. I'm excited for Diablo 4. I'm excited for a lot of games coming out. Um, I was so excited for Final Fantasy 7. It easily exceeded my expectations, and now I'm just can't wait for the third part. It was incredible to play that game. And those are the moments we want. And it's so funny to me that Final Fantasy 7 remake didn't have a $150 version, didn't have a $200 version, didn't have a bunch of different versions, didn't try and dime you into buying all the other previous versions of the game or all the other things, right? And it had two versions, core and then the digital deluxe. And I think the only difference was the digital deluxe came with an art book, which I would have much rather preferred to have a physical thing of, but having it digitally as well was kind of cool because I did look at a lot of the arts. So it's like, you know, hit or miss, plus or minus. You get what you get. And for a while, I think we're going to have to choose not to get some things and really, really become a community that sits together and doesn't just pick each other apart. And I'm hoping, I'm praying that while this is happening, a lot of smaller companies really take the opportunity to step in and release just stellar games on a smaller budget, but games that they want to play, games that have the stories and the things that they really want in them, and using that as the barometer for how good games should be again, right? Um, because it's happened before. On the other hand, we might just get beaten into submission. $100 basic edition, no additional add-ins, DLC, $8 million bop. Got to buy costumes, got to buy, you know, buy skins, buy music, buy characters. Shit, I mean, honestly, at this point, I'm surprised the game hasn't come out and was like, do you want to press the right trigger to walk, let's say it was a racing game. You want to press right trigger to have gas? You have to pay me an additional $5.99 to unlock the feature to use the right trigger. What, you want to fire your gun? $5.99, right? I mean, it's kind of getting to that point of the amount of things that they are trying to strip away from games to force you to buy that should just come in the game. Hopefully, it'll never get that extreme. But if it did, I don't know if I would be as surprised. Um, I don't know if I'd be that surprised by it. I think I would just be like, it's kind of par for the course, and golf clap to the company that had the balls to be like, listen, you want to be able to press start to start the game? $5.99. Oh my god. I mean, it is true to some degree. The shit that they're trying to just rip out of games to force you to pay for them. But that's where we're at. We're going strong. We're still doing a video a day. I got some good things coming up. I'm gonna hopefully get the kids involved in a couple of things. I've been trying. They're going through a lot right now, but we have summer coming up. We have spring break past. So, they're getting towards the end of the year. So hopefully we can get them doing some cool things. Because I wanna try and get them more involved in just more things. And I think this is a good thing for them to be able to channel some creative energy. I want to try and make some shorts with Kylie so that she can be a little bit more creative. Because I think she needs that outlet and she wants that outlet. Um, and then Connor, right now he's got his girlfriend and he's just trying to ignore a lot of things in life. So he's doing what he's doing. Um, but yeah, I really appreciate anyone that sat here and watched this, that's watched any of my videos, that sent me a message, that sat in the live streams and played some games with me. I appreciate any of you, and I hope you continue to stick around and watch me keep growing. Um, this is gonna be 101st day. We got 255 to go. 356 days in a year, 352. I don't even remember. My brain is saturated. Let's see. It doesn't tell me. Of course, it doesn't tell me. That's I think it's the 356 days in a year. That sounds right. 356, 24/7. Yeah. Okay. When you get old, that starts to really wear on you. um, but please drop a like, subscribe, come hang out at Dadam Gaming on Twitch TV. Play a game with me. Suggest a game. I'm always willing to play anything. I'm always willing to see if I have it or I have the means to get it. It's all about community. It's all about doing something in the world for somebody else sometimes. I know when I need to escape, I go to YouTube and I find somebody I want to watch. Sometimes you just need a break. But drop a like, subscribe. Most importantly, do something kind for somebody else. Pieces.